Today we're going to look at question 48 from the SAT number 9, April 2017. The question says, as used in line 32, handle most nearly means. So the way to do it is to go back to 32, and here's our sentence. It says the calcified or rigid-bodied seaweed has multiple non-calcified joints that make it flexible, yet strong enough to handle that setting. And so here we're talking about the seaweed, how it's, basically it has the rigid, hard-bodied part, and then it has non-calcified joints that allow it to be flexible and bend. All these components make it strong enough to handle that setting. So, maybe we could replace it with to live in that setting, to exist in that setting, to endure that setting. So that's what we mean by handle. Let's look for an option. So train for doesn't make sense. The seaweed's not training for. This is kind of an obvious case. I think more obviously wrong. But keep this in mind that when you're trying to solve for these word choice questions, it's just really hard. If you don't know the words, I think you just don't know the words. That's the issue. And there's so many words to memorize that sometimes it's not even worth really training for these. Unfortunately, unless you have a lot of time to invest in reading and building your vocabulary, even then I just don't think it's worthwhile. But some of the things you can do to sort of help adjust when you're solving these is, one, don't choose words for abstract or non-living entities that are like human. So for example, we say humans train for, and you could say animals train for to some degree, but you don't want to talk about inanimate objects or maybe even a plant training for something. This is an obvious case, but there's less obvious cases where it may help you to ask yourself which one is more associated with human activity, and then choose the one that's not if the noun that we're talking about or the thing that we're talking about is an inanimate object. So I hope that made sense. And then, of course, avoid like strong words or words that just don't make sense if you plug them in directly. So B says survive in, which I think works pretty good if you plug it in. That it's flexible yet strong enough to survive in that setting, handle that setting. I think that's pretty good. I'd keep it. Engage in that setting would be almost like it's participating, whatever. And maybe this kind of makes sense, but I think it's less clear than B, survive in. We're not really emphasizing the fact that it's engaging and participating in its environment, just that it's able to endure it and live in it. So I think C is out. And then same thing with act on. I think act on doesn't really make sense. We're not talking or emphasizing the fact that the seaweed is acting on its environment. So I feel confident getting rid of D, and that leaves us with answer choice B, which is our correct answer for question 48.